Hey guys, and welcome back. Dev Spider here. So we're going to start a fresh playthrough of the Infected. And with that said, I'd like to go... one second, I got to adjust the volume. It's a little bit loud on my side. But with that said, I'd like to go ahead and start a new playthrough series. A lot of people requested to do like a Let's Play where I start from day one. During the first few episodes, I'm also going to treat it like a tutorial series and go over the proper keys to use, setting changes, and different ways to survive initially. We will be doing the basic settings, so we're just going to click on New Game. So once the game loads, you obviously will be presented with the main screen here. Here you can adjust your options and stuff for music, audio, video, camera, all that stuff. We're not going to change any of that right now. We're just going to click on New Game. Here on New Game, you can set your settings. So a lot of people are complaining about Vambies, or maybe you don't like the Vambies, or you're scared of them, or you just don't want to deal with them initially. So what you can do is you can come here. Your start day will tell you what day the swarm starts on. It tells you how many start when it's on the first one. You can change that from 1 to 10. The maximum swarm size that I've seen is 15, and that's on day like 300 on my main save. Swarm frequency is how often it happens. Usually I'll set that to 10 days if I just want to break while I'm building something big. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna leave it all standard. We're gonna see how we can do with the new swarm, even though it's destroying everything. You can enable it, disable it, which turns it on or off. So if you hit it, place it on disable, the swarm will not come at all, which I do recommend for some players. If you're new to the game, maybe you're struggling fighting the Vambies. You can turn the predators on and off. That's not crocodiles, that's bears, wolves, and foxes, because they will attack and try to kill you. You can turn off Vambies. This will turn off the wandering Vambies. If you hover over all these options, it tells you exactly what it's doing. You can enable or disable autosave. I don't like to autosave. I'm used to saving manually. If you leave autosave on and something happens and then it saves right after it, well, you're stuck with it. So I like to keep it off and just do my own save. So like I said, I'm going to just, like I like to do on my playthroughs and my series, I like to leave everything completely default for any new players, so you can see how the game's going to evolve and how it's going to go mechanically while you're trying to survive. So on your swarms, when they do come, usually I want to say it's 5 days before you actually start seeing wandering Vambies. And they do have a lot of new stuff now. They move faster, they're more aggressive, they'll attack your buildings. They have jump attacks. If they get too close to you, they will hold you in place, and then you'll take damage. That can be dangerous if you've got multiple Vambies on you, or maybe a Vambi and a Predator. So we're just going to call this, we'll call this Season 7, since it's version 7 update. And we're going to get started. So just hit Start Game, and then it'll load us in. Shouldn't take too long since it's a brand new game. My other game will take 5 minutes or so to load, just because there's so many buildings. For any returning players that have been watching my videos and keeping up with everything, I'm just going to go and let y'all know the dev is working on some improvements for those of us who aren't satisfied with the new update, just because it's causing so much damage to our bases, especially if you're like me and you have a big base. That's a lot of stuff to protect. So let me go ahead and pause the game by hitting escape really quick. So for the changes that the dev's working on, just to go over that for, like I said, for all the players that are still playing or that are returning, he's working on a spear trap and metal upgrade defensing. So the trap's supposedly going to be good to kill 1 to 2 Vambies, and then you'll have to replace it or reload it, because he's thinking maybe a spear trap or something. So either you're going to have to replace it, reload it, or do some kind of change to it, but it should be able to kill 1 to 2 Vambies. The metal fences, they should have up to 1,000 hit points. They're just going to be expensive. And then he's working on a few other things that are being presented to him, maybe new weapons, maybe more traps than just 1 or 2, maybe different upgrades to get your base back to where it's safe and secure. Alright, so with that said, so I pressed the escape key, which brings you to this menu. You can make all your same adjustments. Here's where you'll manually save. If you did not enable, because it starts off disabled, so if you did not enable autosave, you're going to want to come here and hit save before you quit. And it should give you a warning before you quit to say that, to ask you if you've saved. But it will not force you to save. You have to do that right here by hitting the save button. Alright, so we're going to hit resume. We're going to press, if you look down in the lower left corner, you should see hold F to view the tutorial and player stats. So we're going to hold F. So there's our stats: health, stamina, thirst, proteins, carbs, fats, vitamins, and energy. Alright, so thirst, that's going to be water, melons, and different items that you can eat. Pretty much fruits will give you thirst back. Water will give you your water back. So what you'll have to do is collect the water from the ponds, the rivers, and then you'll have to boil it to clean it into fresh water. Plants and stuff, you can just eat those if you want. They'll give you a little bit of thirst back. Dry things like corn, potatoes, meat, they will take away from your thirst. Proteins, that's going to be your meat, so that's fish and raw meat. Carbs, again, that's going to be mostly melons, cucumbers, watermelons. Fats, vitamins, you can get those from all the different things: corn, potatoes, watermelons, they all give a little bit of everything. And then energy, you can get a little energy from food, but your energy is mostly going to come from sleeping. Alright, so while we're holding and I'm holding the F key while the screen's up, so you have to hold it, it doesn't just stay up. So from here you can see your compass, which will help you track if you want to use it. I don't use it because it confuses me because it's not like a real compass. So from tutorial tasks here, we need to gather 1 stone, we need to gather 1 stick, and we need to craft a stone axe. So we're just going to go piece by piece with this really quick like it's a fresh playthrough. And we're going to hit the M key. M is in Mike. And that's going to open up our map. This is the best start point on the map in my opinion. The only 2 places I've spawned into the game on a new game is here on this location and here. So with the map up, we're going to go over a couple of quick things. I guess I should say spoiler alert just because I'm going to go ahead and share a lot of stuff with y'all. Hopefully nobody gets upset about that. I just want y'all to know where everything's at so you can get a fresh, good start. So here, where the crocodiles are located, this is the swamp area. You don't need to worry about the crocodiles until you get the loom technology. So there's no reason to go there unless you just feel like fighting crocodiles or you want to see them. Later on we'll get to that. These little pickaxes on these little brown zones, these are flat zones, like where we're standing right now. So if you look around, it's flat. And most of these are all on top of a pond. Ponds are full of fish. And then they have these pickaxes. And that means there's an ore type there. So where I'm at now, this should be copper. And let's see, let me remember. So this should be copper, this should be aluminum. And then this should be cobalt. And I believe this is cobalt as well. But we don't need but these 3. Because then we can get iron outside of this circle. So each one of these will need a mineral extractor just to pull the resource of the ore type. You can get a little bit off of it just by breaking rocks. And if you want to confirm the resource type that's in that area, all we have to do is break one of the large rocks. So when I say one of the large rocks, it's one of these. There'll be a couple of these in each of the spawn zones. So if you look around, you see 2 or 3 in here. So if we have a pickaxe and we break this open, we'll get small stone and 1 ore type for what is found here. But it's only within the circle. If it's on the very edge of this brown circle, it might not actually give you an ore type. But that'll let you know what's here. So if we break one of those here, we'll get copper. So here's a stick right here. And when you spawn into the game, I didn't realize this, but it's from other playthrough. So currently, when you spawn in, if it's your first time playing, your foliage density might be as high as epic. So we'll go ahead and hit apply on that, and then OK. So this is what your game's actually going to look like when you spawn in. Alright, so then these are clay nut rocks. We don't really need to worry about those at this very moment. We will here in a minute. So this is just a clay node. You'll break this, you'll get 10 clay per one of these. Another way to get clay is to use the mineral extractor, which will give you iron and clay and rock and iron fragments. Alright, so I don't play on epic just because it's so hard to see everything. I actually would like to keep my foliage density on medium just so I can see what's around me. Alright, so we've got our 1 stick. Now we need to find a rock. We'll go ahead and gather some extra sticks as you run around because you're going to need a couple. They stack up to 5. Alright, so here's your first small stone right here. So we're going to go ahead and press E to pick that up. Same thing with the sticks. You'll press E, and if you hover on them, it'll show you. But press E to pick those up. You do have wildlife in the game. As you see right there, there's a wild boar coming at us. We also call those just pigs. If you attack him, he will attack you. He will give you animal hide, fat, and raw meat if you kill him. Alright, so if we press F, we've now got our 1 stick, our 1 stone, and we can craft the stone axe. So we're going to press the tab key. I mean, not the tab key, sorry, I'm thinking of a different game. We're going to press I. If you have default settings, you can change this in options if you want to. I have a video on that. It's the day 0 tutorial. I'm not going to go over that again. So then once you press I, as in India, then you're going to click on the hammer and anvil at the top of your screen. You can either drag these over one at a time, or you can, what I like to do is hold the Alt key and then right click and it'll place 1. So the 1 stone will give you a stone blade. If you have a stack and you do Alt right click, it'll move 1 as well, and that'll give us the stone axe with 1 stone, 1 stick. Then we're going to press craft. It's going to automatically equip into our backpack. You have 4 slots here, so you can only hold 4 tools or weapons, or any combination of the above. So these are your 4 slots. Those are related to your number keys. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. You cannot craft weapons or tools if you don't have any open slots. So if you're trying to craft like extra bows or spears and you can't, it's most likely because you no longer have any open slots in your backpack. Alright, so you can escape, leave that menu, or you can hit I. So our next task is going to be craft a stone blade. So we need to find another stone, which there's one right here. Alright, so craft stone blade, then we need to get plant fiber. So we're going to go ahead and get our plant fiber. So you're going to pull your axe out by pressing the 1 key. And then we're just going to chop a tree down by holding down left trigger, or left mouse button. That's going to drop 3 logs for the small trees. You get more logs for the bigger trees you cut down. And there are a few trees that you cannot cut down. Like the really, really big ones, you can't cut those down. Alright, so when you cut a tree down, you're going to get the logs. You're going to get plant fiber, which are these little yellowish looking fibers here. And then you're going to get bark chips. I advise saving all of your resources you get, because you will eventually use them. Okay, so now then if we hold down the F key again for the tutorial, it says to craft a stone blade and gather plant fiber and then make a stone pickaxe. So if you don't know what the recipe is, we're going to go press I again, go to these 2 books at the top of your screen, go to Itempedia right here, and if you hover over any of the items, it'll tell you what it costs to craft those. So for the stone pickaxe, it's going to take 1 stick, 1 stone blade, and 2 plant fiber. So then press I again to leave that menu. Well, actually, we need to be in there to craft. Alright, so we're going to do an alt right click on the stone and make our blade first. Alt right click to put the blade back down. We're going to put 1 stick, and we're going to put 2 plant fibers, and that's going to give us our stone pickaxe. So now that we have the stone pickaxe, we're going to hold F again. Our next step is to build a saw bench. So to build a saw bench, we're going to press I, go back to your book menu, go to placeables. Under placeables, you're going to see your workbenches, and then you have these side menus here where you can go through different items that you can build. So under placeables, you're going to have to select what you want to build and place it on the ground. So in this case, we want to build a saw bench. So for the saw bench, it's going to be the first one right here. It's 4 wood logs. So you're just going to left click on that. We're going to place it, I want to kind of get it, I guess we can kind of stay center for now, but I want to leave the big space open to build. So we're going to place it right here for now. Press E to set it down. And now we have a workbench. If you hover on that, it says E to add materials, and that it tells you how much it costs, which is 0 out of 4 wood logs, and then it tells you the hit points as well. You can press the delete key if you don't want it, and it'll delete it. Same thing if you have built it out all the way. You can press the delete key and it'll get rid of it. And it'll give you half of the resources back if you've built it. So we're going to press E to pick up our logs, press E to place them on the workbench, press 1 to get our axe back out, and we're going to chop this tree down. That's going to give us more bark chips, more plant fiber, and more logs. Now when I start, I like to start off with 3 or 4 of these. Alright, so now that it's completed, it took a log and went on top. If you listen, you can hear it sawing. It's going to be really low, and then it'll give us planks. So press E to put another one on there. And this is a very slow process. That's why I like to build multiple of these. So we're going to press I. And we're going to get like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of these going. Because you're going to need a lot of planks to get your first house built. So just line it up however you want. You can use the mouse wheel to spin it. If you want to change its direction and orientation, you can move it in and out. If it's too close to you, it'll be red and you can't place it. If you're trying to place it and it's still red, let's see if we can find something. So you see there's a stick by this tree right here. So if I wanted to place this where that stick is, it should turn red. See how it's red? So there could be something under it. There could be a tree blocking it. There's several reasons why you wouldn't be able to build it. So sticks, rocks will block it. Plants, animals, your body if you're too close to it. So just move around, adjust it, spin it, and you can place it. If you're near a hillside, you might just have to spin it to get the right orientation before it'll place. Because it's just having a collision effect and it won't let you place it down. Alright, so let's just, we'll just do 3 for now since we can only carry 3 logs. Alright, so let's go ahead and chop these down. There's a couple of trees going. I like to always keep planks making because, like I said, we're going to need those in a minute. Because your first goal is you want to get a secure house made. Not so much for protection from the zombies because you really don't want them in your house. But more or less just so you can start storing stuff. And because you're going to need protection from winter. So the main goal right now is to beat out winter. I'm going to move my webcam in just a second, so I can show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so while those are sawing, let me disable this webcam and I'll show you what I mean. Well, actually, yeah, we'll just disable the webcam for the moment. Let's see, chroma cam and my overlay. Okay, so what I'm talking about, if you look in the top right of your screen, you'll see a temperature, 8.1 Celsius. If you hold the F key, you'll see the day that you're on. So we're on day 1. It is currently 3:41 p.m. in the afternoon. It is March of spring. So once we start getting into fall, winter, you're going to want to have a house built with heat source, or you're going to run the risk of getting hit by a blizzard and freezing to death. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to turn my webcam back on just because I know some people like to be able to see me while I'm talking. All right, and then let's go ahead and chop down one more tree, and then we'll check our tutorial. Alright, so hold down the F key again as in Foxtrot, and let's see, now we need to build a foundation, and then we need to build a campfire, and then we'll work on carbs and proteins. So to build a foundation, which is the first thing you need to build when building a house, we're going to our books, construction, and foundation is the first one here on the top left. So just left click on that, and you'll see a foundation pop up. So again, this works just like everything else that like I just went over. So you see how it's red right there, it won't place, it's because of that rock. So if you move it over, it's good. If it hits a tree, it won't play. Same thing with the bigger rocks and everything else. Now then, on these you can also mouse wheel to spin it. You can't, because you can orient it based on the way you see how the planks on the top of it are running. So some people like to keep those on line, some like to mix them up. I mean, it's your preference on that. Now if you hold down the X key, X is in X-ray, and then you hit the mouse wheel, you can adjust the height of your foundation to up or down. There is a height limit. You can only go, like you can scroll up higher, but it will actually only lock in so far. All right, and then when you place these, they'll snap each other. So we're gonna go ahead and place ours down. I'm gonna go ahead and, how do I wanna build this base? Let's see, where are we at right now? So I'm gonna stay kind of semi-close to the pond. And I like to do, we're gonna have to cut down some trees probably, because there's not a lot of space right here right now. So we're just going to get it where we want it. I'm going to go for, do I'm going to go for a high one or a low one? It doesn't really matter. The Vambies can jump pretty high, so you can try to go high, but then they're just going to attack the bottom of it. Same thing for animals. So I normally like to go for the, if you press tab, you can get away from that, by the way, from the blueprint. I like to go with just the standard height usually. And that's what we're going to do. So I like to do pretty much a 9 by base or a 3 by 3. So 3 left and right, 3 in this direction. All right, so it looks like we're gonna fit here just fine. And you see like how they snap into each other. So if I wanted to change the height right now, I can't because it's snapped into the ones that are already being laid down. So then just press E while they're snapped in. Like if you wanted to place it at a different height, you have to like get away from it. And once you get in a certain distance, it'll snap every time, as you see there. And if you're standing in it, again, you can't place it. So make sure you get out of the way and place it down. And I made that one too big, of course. Oh well, it'll be fine. We'll just do it. We'll do it like that. So I like to use odd numbers though, just because when you use odd numbers, you can center your doorways. But we'll leave it long. That's fine. It's not gonna hurt anything. So then we'll hit tab key to make that go away. And then if you look at these, you can see how much they cost. They take 4 wood logs and 6 planks. So let's go ahead and chop down some more trees. We're gonna need a ton. You'll need a ton of trees to get these all built out. And as you saw, the plank cost is kind of high. That's why I said you want to keep your saw benches running until they're full. And then there's a note we'll do on the saw bench in just a second as we chop these down. So you just press E to add the materials. So we're at 3 or 4 on this one. And current tutorial just wants us to build 1. So if you come to the planks, the saw benches, you have to right click with your mouse to pick up a plank. Now the thing is here, you need to make sure you have enough space for it to actually fit in your bag. So if we press I, it shows us our backpack. So this is just your standard backpack where all your items go. If you click on the backpack in the top left, that's what we're looking at now. You have your bandages here, you have your lighter here. Now then, if you click on the food, the bowl icon next to that, you'll see that we started off with 5 beef stews, and you have a little bit of, you have 60 fresh water in your flask. So that's not bad. Once we get a campfire going, water is not going to be that big of a deal. It's just you just have to keep cooking it. All right, and then again for the dual axes at the top left, that's just your weapons and tools. If you look next to that, you'll see the weight. So we're currently at 24.2 out of 50. So you can only hold up to 50 pounds. Anything more than that, you won't be able to sprint or run. And I think it limits your jump too. You're going to be, it limits everything. You move down, you move a lot slower. And like I said, it's dangerous to be that way. Alright, so we're going to right click on this. And if you look in the lower left, it'll tell you how to do everything. So right mouse, take planks, E to add logs. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. They stack up to 5. So if we press I, you can see we have 5 in one stack and 1 in another. So that's 6 that we need to build the one foundation. And as you add all the materials, the foundation will complete. Alright, so holding down the F key, our next goal is to build a campfire. So we're going to press I to go back into our inventory, or our crafting menu, whatever you want to call it, your user interface. Go to your dual books, go to placeables, go to food, and then there's the campfire. Alright, so if it rains, the campfire will not be able to be lit and it will go out. So we're just going to place it close to the water because we're going to be needing to boil water. So you don't want to have to run across the map, you know, you don't want to run way over there just to make a bunch of water. Alright, so this is going to require 10 small stone and 8 firewood. So we placed our 2 small stones on there. In order to get firewood, we can there's several different ways to get that. So you can right click on the wood log and you can do harvest and it'll give us firewood and sticks. Firewood takes up a pretty decent amount of space. He has updated that, so if you look in here, there's firewood. I can't remember exactly how many we needed. So give me 1 second, let's run back over here. So we need 8 pieces of that. So we'll grab 1 more log, go ahead and destroy it. And sorry if I hear a loud noise, my heater just cut on, it's getting cold here. I'm sure everybody else is suffering from the winter weather right now. So we're going to add those, and then we'll need some stones. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get the heater turned off just because it's loud and I don't want it to overpower the microphone. And we'll be right back. Alright guys, sorry about that, heater finally cut off. So while it was running, I went ahead and chopped down some more trees, as you can see. I went ahead and started loading the foundations of the logs and I started getting more planks made. While I was doing that, of course, while we're cutting down the trees, as you can see, we're getting plant fiber and bark chips. You want to be picking up sticks and stones if you feel like it while you're also doing this. So our inventory started getting full, so I went ahead and made a crate. So this is a storage crate. Let me mute my phone, sorry about that again. For some reason, everybody likes to email in the middle of the night. Right, there we go. Alright, so with the storage crate, you're going to press I, go to your books, placeables, click on the storage tab on the right side here, and then you have all your storage containers. So the first ones we're going to want to start off with, that I would advise you start with, is going to be the storage container, and probably a stick stand, maybe a plank stand, and a firewood stand possibly if you want to save some firewood just to get your fire going easily. Log stand, I don't really use those anymore. There's really not, they don't really serve any purpose. People used to use them all the time to protect from Bambis. Bambis will just go over those or destroy them now. And then besides that, I use my logs as I get them, so I don't need a place to store them unless you just want to do it for aesthetics. And it's also a good way to keep up with firewood and more sticks. So you click on your storage container, you'll see that it's the same way as the foundations. You can place it wherever you want to. You can spin it with the mouse wheel. And sorry guys, I know it's dark on the screen right now. It's nighttime in the game, so it's going to be a little bit hard to see for the moment. But you just want to keep working the whole time, initially for the first few days. So press E to place that down as well. It's going to tell you that it needs 8 planks. He changed that recipe in the new update, then he's reverted it back so that we'd have storage early on in the game. Then we're going to come over here to our plank stand. Right click to get 8 boards. Press E to place those. So we got 5, so we need 3 more. So 1, 2, and 3. You don't have to look right at the planks. You should be able to just look at the top of the workbench too. Alright, so then there's our new storage crate. So we're just going to go to this one. Hold down the Alt key and you can right click. It'll move it in there and stack it on any ones that are available in there already. As you can see, we already found some food. I just went ahead and ate that because my guy was thirsty and hungry. And we'll go over that in a second. And that was fine carbs, so we found a cucumber and a watermelon. We're going to use this other one. We're going to start putting stones in there. And then let's go back to storage. Let's go ahead and make us a stick stand because we're going to need sticks here in a minute. So placeables, storage again. And then we will go to a stick stand. Where are you at? There we go, stick stand. Alright, E to add materials. Takes 6 sticks to make it. So we're going to make that. And then you press E and you'll see sticks start to load up on it. Oh, you will in the daytime. Sorry, it's really dark, I know. Alright, stones weigh a lot, crates weigh a lot. So with the crates, you can press N as in November. And even though it's full, you can move it around. Press E to place it back down. If you go to place somewhere and it's red, like on a hillside, again, just spin it and then move it around, and eventually you'll find a spot that'll let you set it down. And that's going to come in handy later on, and we'll go over why when we get there. So press E to put that down. Another good thing to know while it's dark and you can't see much is if you press G as in golf, so the G key, you'll see your health and stamina pop up in the lower right corner, and that'll stay on display the whole time if you press G. If you want to toggle it back off, press G again. Anytime I think it's when you sleep, save, reload and stuff, and sometimes go in and out of certain items, you'll see that it'll turn itself back off. Just press G again and it'll reopen. And that way you can see your stamina. So if stamina regens on its own, if you jump, it uses stamina. Jump is spacebar, run is shift. If you run, it uses stamina. If you run out of stamina, you'll walk slow for a minute and it'll regen slower until it hits a certain point. So then you just stop. You don't have to stop all the way. You can keep walking. If you're walking, it'll regen too. You're going to grab this stone. So our next quest, I already found the carbs, but like I said, we'll go over that in just a second, is to build the campfire. So for the campfire, we needed the stone and the firewood. We've already got 8 firewood on there, which we harvested by right-clicking on the logs. You can get firewood also from tree stumps. I think there's one right here. I'll show you that in the daytime, but that's a tree stump. You chop that down, it'll give you firewood. Alright, so we need 10 small stone. We need 8 more. So the best way to do that, in my opinion right now, early game, is to find one of these large rocks near you. Get out your pickaxe, which for us and probably for you as well is going to be on the 2 key, and then you're just going to do it like you're doing a tree and just left click on it, and you will eventually it'll break. So now that it's broken, you're going to press E to harvest the stone. And I wish we had the light. I'll show you on one of the other stones when the sun comes back up, but if you can see it on here, if it's not too dark when YouTube uploads it, here's a square looking green stone. That's copper ore. So you're going to want to pick that up and save that. You want to save all your ore because you're going to need a lot of it when we get to more advanced building. So we're just going to put all our stones in here. We're going to save all of our stones because we're going to need those. Well, actually, I forgot we needed 8 more for our campfire. And those normally drop like 10 small stone or so. So we're going to go ahead and press E to add the stones there. So here's our campfire. So if you look at it, you're going to you see a white circle at the top. Well, let me go ahead and get this thing lit. So you can light this with firewood, or you can use sticks or bark chips. I prefer not to use my bark chips. Well, actually, no, right now, early game, bark chips are fine to use. So if we go into here and we grab this stack of 100 bark chips, and you'll get plenty of those initially, so don't worry about those. You won't need to save those and use them for anything until much later in the game. So when you press E to open the campfire crafting menu while you're looking at it, click on your backpack in the top left, drag and drop your bark chips. 100 will fill up anything. So we'll drop that on the fire. Then this little metal item right here is your lighter. So you're going to drag that to that circle and drop it, and it will light it and put the lighter back in your inventory. So now we have the campfire going so you can see. Alright, so now that you can see, here is a water bucket. This is where you can put dirty water. It can hold 200 units of water. So when we run out of water, so like right now you see we're thirsty, right? So we're going to here, we can drink from our flask because you start off with fresh water, and now it's 0 of 60. So what we're going to want to do is come over here to the pond. I know it's kind of hard to see. And while looking at the pond, press I, and you'll see the circle for add water. Just drag your canteen, drop it on that circle. It'll grab 60 units of water. Run back over here, press E. Drag your flask onto the bucket icon right here and drop it, and you'll see 60. You'll see a white circle start going. That's the timer until it becomes fresh, clean water that you can drink. Alright, so while that's going, we're going to run over here, and we're going to keep filling it up until it's at 200. And every time we do it, it's going to reset that timer. But you want to do it before it turns into fresh water, or you're not going to be able to fill it up. And that way we'll have extra water, so we won't have to do this as much. Like, you won't have to relight the fire. And while the rain's not here, you want to make sure your bucket's full of water, because when it rains, it'll put the fire out. So we're going to have to build a roof over this in a minute. Alright, so now we have dirty water here. You can take this, and if you want to put out your fire to save the fuel that's in the fire, you can actually drag this and drop it onto the burn icon here, and it'll put the fire out. Or if you right click on it and hold right click, you can drink the dirty water, but I mean I wouldn't drink it, and you can empty the dirty water. So you can just click empty, and now our flask is empty because we're just gonna leave our fire burning. I'm not worried about the fuel. All right, so then let me position myself a little bit better. These 4 white circles around it on the rocks, that is where you would put your raw meat and your raw fish to cook it. And then it'll do the same thing as the water did. So now you see the water's clean because that white circle completed, the timer ran out. So you'll take your flask, drag it over, drop it there. It'll grab 60, so we're 140 out of 200 now. And we have 60 clean water. So we'll go ahead and drink that and fill it back up. And you see our thirst is now full. So if we had fish or proteins right now, but I don't want to go over that until it's daytime and you can see what I'm doing. We'll go over that in a minute. But you would place that here, and it'll cook. It'll do the little white circle. When the circle is complete, it'll then be cooked meat. And you don't want to leave any meat or foods laying around too long because they will spoil, and you'll get spoiled food. When you get spoiled food, you want to keep that and save that. We're going to use that eventually to make fuel. So don't just throw away your bad food. All right, so while it's nighttime, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here for a second, and I'll cut down some more trees and do some more crafting. Or not crafting, but I'm going to cut down some more trees, and we'll get back to crafting in just a moment when the sun comes back up. Hey guys, I know it's nighttime and you can't see anything right now, except maybe this tree that's right in front of me and the build template over there. But real quick, our axe just broke while we're cutting down trees. Like I said, I was going to gather logs through the night. So when your axe breaks, it'll just disappear when it runs out of durability. So you can see our axe is gone. So what you need to do is just craft another one. It'll go back into the first available slot. So it went right back into 1. When you break items and stuff, you don't get anything back from them, that they're just gone. So if you look in the lower left below my hit points and stamina, that is the axe's durability. The same thing applies to all your weapons and tools. The only one I can think of off the top of my head that does not degrade in durability, actually the two, I think 2 of them that don't degrade is the upgrade tool and the stone hammer, which you use the stone hammer to repair, and the upgrade tool we'll use later on when we get to more advanced building. But as you watch me cut down trees, you'll see that durability start to go down on that white circle. And eventually we can build better tools. We can make iron tools, and they last longer. They do more damage to the items in the terrain, and they will allow you to harvest the trees and stuff faster. Alright, so what I've been doing, in case you are wondering, is I've just been pressing E to pick up my logs. I've been gathering a bunch of them, as you can see here. You right click, you can drop those, and they fall down. Another good thing to go over while it's dark and you can see clearly is in the lower right corner. You see that little head icon? It's got the swirls around it. That means that we have some kind of status ailment or something's not right that we need to correct, or we will take damage. So if we hold F, you can see we're getting low on energy. We're getting low on proteins. And that is what's going on. Is the game is pretty much, it's your indication warning that, hey, if you run out of proteins, energy, thirst, or any of the other items, you'll start taking damage over time. So you'll start taking away damage. Like I'm not sure what it is. It's like every 3 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that. You'll take 1 hit point of damage. Same thing when you get cold. You'll see that your guy is cold and he'll start taking damage. If you get too hot, you'll take damage. So you want to keep an eye on that. And like I said, as soon as the sun gets back, we'll fix the proteins and the energy once y'all can see. So like I said, I'll be back in a second. It's currently 4:54 a.m. in the game on day 2. So like I said, once the sun comes up at around 6 to 7 and there's light again, I'll bring the game back. Because we don't have a flashlight yet. You can get one later in the game, but we're still a long ways away from that. Alright guys, so it's currently raining right now and we're back. Daytime finally broke. It's 7:17 a.m. So we need to find us some plants and stuff. So what you're going to want to do is just ease around the map. Don't go too fast. There we go. So right here, this is a melon. And there's different types of plants. They all look different, but this is the melon. This is probably the hardest one to see the foliage on. So if you right click, you can do a harvest on it. If you press I, it's going to give you a seed for that. And then it's going to give you, we found some potatoes earlier during the night, but it's going to give you 1 melon. And you can just right click on that and eat that. Melons give you a good source of energy and carbs and a little bit of thirst. If you're still starving, you can eat one of your MREs if you need to. Let's see, I'd like to find some more if we can. But yeah, so you can eat your MREs if you need to, if your guy's like starving and hungry. Hopefully we can find some more plants here in just a second. So just look around, they are hard to see. Like I said, you've got watermelon, melons, corn, potatoes. Melons and potatoes are probably the hardest ones to see. Corn's pretty tall, you'll recognize it when you see it. And we need to go ahead and get some proteins going as well. So for proteins, the easiest way to do that initially is we need to build a spear. Man, I thought for sure we'd see something by now. There is an easier way to find vegetables, which is just to turn your foliage to 0. But when you do that, the game looks terrible. So, like, I'm trying to play the game just the right way with foliage turned on without doing that. But if you get in a pinch and you just have to have something, just turn your foliage down and you can find. It'll only show you items that you can collect or that are part of the map that are permanent. Can't believe we're not seeing any watermelons and stuff. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get proteins. Like I said, just look for the plants. Like I said, potatoes are the hardest. Potatoes and melons are the hardest ones to see. A lot of times they'll pop up out here, which makes it easier to see them. So that's why I've been cutting all the trees down on this mining area. Like, see right there, there's a watermelon. So here's a watermelon. It's a great source of water. So just right click and hit harvest on it. It'll give you 2 pieces. And while we're on here, you need to look at this too. So if you look on that, it says spoils in 29 minutes and 54 seconds. So you get 30 minutes with that, it'll go bad. Everything has a different time. Potatoes go bad in 2 hours. Meats and stuff, they go bad in 30 minutes while they're raw, and then I think 2 hours or 18 hours if they're dried and cooked. So if you eat the watermelon, you'll see our thirst go way up. We'll get some vitamins and stuff out of that as well. And let's see. Let's run the edge again one more time and see if we see anything else food-wise. Wait, was that a potato? No, that's just some flowers. Okay. But like I said, usually, like I said, I cut all the trees down and stones out here first because it's easier to see stuff on this wide open area instead of going out here into the woods and scouring the hillsides looking for foods. But you do need to get your vegetables. You need to save all the seeds that you get because we can plant those eventually. You also want to keep an eye out for dead birds. They drop feathers. You want to save all the feathers you find. Birds will die from lightning storms, cold damage, take your pick. But you will eventually find dead bodies of birds laying around. They will despawn. Pretty much anything you drop on the ground will despawn eventually except for logs and planks. And as you see the logs go flying, birds that's their favorite thing to do. They love to eat logs over the place. Like, see how he just kicks it around? So if you make piles like I'm doing here just to make it easier for when we start crafting the building, then just expect to see them throwing them all over the place. All right, so first things first. So our fire went out because of the rain. We need to fix that before we get ready to cook. So we're going to go to placeables. We're going to go to others. And we're going to grab a shelter. So the first things you want to do is follow the tutorial, build your foundation, build your campfire, get your tools, and once you build the campfire, go ahead and get you one of these from placeables. Put it over the campfire. It takes 4 logs to make it. He changed that since he's already updated that since the update because he did add nails to it at one point. So we're going to go ahead and press E to add the logs to it. And now when it rains, it'll protect our fire, and our fire will stay lit. So see our fire went out. So on the fire, you can cook stuff. You can cook potatoes to make baked potatoes. You can cook the fish. You can cook all kinds of meat. In order to get fish, though, or to kill animals, we're going to need to make a spear. So to make a spear, we're going to press I. We're going to go to our little book. Go to Itempedia. If you look in here, you've got 2 spear types. You have the bone spear and the stone spear. Bone spear has more durability and does a little bit more damage than the stone spear. However, the bone spear, we can't make it until later in the game. So for right now, we're not even going to worry about that, okay? Because we need to be able to make bone shards, which those are made from animal bones, which you get from killing animals. Or you can find just random shards in the Vanby villages. So we're going to go ahead and make a stone spear. That's going to be 3 sticks, 1 stone blade, and 5 plant fibers. And eventually we'll get the bow. The bow's the best weapon in the game and the best thing for hunting animals and stuff. Pretty much if you shoot something in the face, it'll die in 1 hit unless it's a bear. Bears take more than 1 shot to the head, and crocodiles take more than 1 shot to the head. But Vambies and everything else will drop just from 1 shot. I think I see a watermelon over here. So we're going to grab, pretty much you're going to grab every fruit you see. And here's a potato plant. So you see how hard that is to see in the forest? So we're going to right click on that and harvest that too. There's another watermelon. We're getting lucky all of a sudden. And they just randomly respawn across the map. So just, like I said, as you come across them, collect them. And let's grab these stones, because like I said, we're going to need a lot of stones in a little bit. So I went ahead and built more crates. I like to organize stuff. So I've got 1 for bark chips. I've got 1 for plant fibers. I've got 1 for just stone. And then I've got 1 that I'm putting all the random seeds and ores that I find into. I guess I could store all this. Because, like I said, you're limited by your weight and by the size of your backpack. So you want to make sure you keep space. All right, so we need 3 sticks. I forgot, we do need one. We'll need one. We'll go ahead and get 2 stones. And we'll make 2 spears then. Because the spears will break just like all your other tools and weapons. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Alright, let's go ahead and craft that. So put your stone on there, alt right click, hit craft. Same thing with the other stone. We got our 2 blades. So we need 3 sticks. So what you can do, so we have a stack of 5 here, right? So if you hold the shift key and then you drag it over, it'll bring up the slider. So then you can adjust that to however many you need. So we just need 3 of those. We'll do an alt right click on our stone blade, and then we'll just do alt right click on these. We need, I believe, 5 of these plant fibers, and there's our stone spear. So we'll craft that. It's going to go into our 3rd slot, and we're going to make another one. So we're going to drag that over. So we've got 2 there. Now we can do an alt right click. It'll move just 1. And then we can do the shift on this with the slider. You can click or you can drag it. It's up to you. And now we have 2 stone spears. Alright, so when it comes to the stone spear, we're going to pull it out, our first one out on 3 key. So you can stab with it just by doing left mouse button, or you can hold the right mouse button and then left mouse button to throw it. And that's a good way to kill birds and other animals. Let me see, is that pig still roaming around anywhere? So if we throw this at the pig, it works the same way as the bow. If you throw it, it will kill most things in one hit if you hit it in the head. But you do have to, and you can retrieve it. I'm trying to see if there's anything we could take down with it, but it looks like all the animals have fled for now. They're like, oh, he's got weapons. Let's get out of here. We don't. So what we can do, the reason you want to build near a pond, there are some fish in the rivers in certain places, but it's few and far between. I'm not going to go over those locations because they're hard to find and they've changed since the 7.0 update. So what we're going to want to do is you're going to dive into the water here, and you can see fish in here, okay? So that looks like a tuna right there. Yeah. So tuna are the biggest ones, so you just want to stab it with left click. Press E to take it off your spear. And it takes up inventory space, so you can't carry a ton of them. They're kind of hard to hit and see at times. It gets easier with the flashlight and the more light in the day. So we're just going to grab this guy right here. And let's see if we can't get another 1 or 2. Come here. So you've got tuna, you've got bluegill. The small ones don't give as much. The bigger ones give like these give like 1 to 2 each. That's gonna be enough for now because we don't have a very big backpack. You can upgrade the backpack later, so don't get frustrated right now. You know, you just started, so it's gonna take a little bit of time. All right, so hit I to open your inventory. So you see we have fish here. We've got tuna and we've got trout. So what you want to do that is drop it on the ground. Just left click on it and drag it out and just drop it on the ground. Same way you take stuff out of the chest. You can alt right click and take 1 item at a time out of the chest if it's in a stack, or you can just drag the whole stack over into your backpack. Alright, so once the fish are on the ground, you're going to want to right click and do a harvest. And see, our bag's full now, so it's just dropping raw fish on the ground. So we're going to come to the campfire, press E again, and you see we have raw fish now. Take that and drop it onto these white circles on those stones. So we're just left clicking and dragging and dropping. Then we're going to go back to our backpack and we're going to hit the lighter. We still have fuel on the fire. So now our fish are going to start cooking. Same thing, you see the little timer going. So with that, let's make some space. We'll eat. Sorry, my nose is itching. I need to trim my mustache. So we're going to go ahead and you see we're almost out of energy, so we'll go over that in just a second. Our fats are low. Our meats and proteins will give that back to us. Potatoes do give you 10 fat, so they're a good source of that. So we can right click on that. We can eat some potatoes to make some space, get our vitamins and stuff back up. Right click and eat this to get our thirst up. And now we have plenty of space. Let's grab this meat because, like I said, if you leave it here, it will go bad. It will despawn too. Like fish on the ground will probably despawn before it goes bad. It doesn't last long. You can, like I said, the logs, they're permanent. They'll stay wherever you leave them for the life of the game. Planks, you can do the same. We can grab some of these. See, let's grab 1, 2, 3, 4 more, 2 stacks. So we can drag and drop these out and just hit confirm. And these will stay on the ground too, if you don't want to build a plank rack to store them. And then of course, you just grab your logs, reload it because we're going to need more planks anyways. Right mouse button to drop your log once you picked it up. Come back here, you see our fish is cooked now. You also see our health is going down fast because we're currently starving for protein. Best way to get your health back is to eat cucumbers, to sleep, You can make bed kits later on in the game. Those will give you a lot of health back. When you fight animals, you need to be careful because you will get bleed damage, and you'll need to use bandages to stop the bleed, but bandages will not heal you. I know a lot of people had questions of that. So if you watch our proteins, they'll go up now. And we will stop taking damage from starvation. And we get a watermelon if we want to top off our thirst and give us a little bit more energy. And all your food items do give you health, but it gives you very, very little health. Like watermelon only gives you 1 health. So we're going to let these fish finish real quick. And the fish will give you back 1 health. So food is not a great way to heal, but cucumbers give you like 10 health. So those are the best natural way to regain your hit points. Alright, so we're just going to let those cook for now. Let the fire run. We have this one foundation piece. So for energy, we need to sleep. And to sleep, you need a bed. So we're going to go to placeables. We're going to go to furniture. And then you have bed. It's 6 planks. So you see here, you can't place it. So you need it. That's what the one foundation is for initially. It's just so you can place your bed. And anything that's placeable items, you can always press the N is in November key, and you can pick it up and move it. So don't worry about where you initially place it. So we'll go over here. We'll grab one of these stacks we threw on the ground. Grab one of these off the top there. Press E. Yep, and then you press E to fall asleep on your bed. If you have multiple beds, you can change which one to spawn at. Use right mouse button to make it your spawn point. And you need to do that so that when you die, you spawn back at your bed. When you die, the only penalty you'll take from death is you'll lose permanent hit points. So right now we're at 100. You'll lose 5 hit points per death, which will take you down to, I think the lowest I've ever seen is 50. And you can get those back, but you have to do advanced cooking for that. So you want to try not to die for as long as possible. So you see that bird right there, guys? So I'm right clicking on my spear right now, and then we're going to left click and throw the spear. And you see how it hit him and killed him? So birds don't give meat anymore. They used to back in like version 5. Now they just give feathers. So live birds like that you find, they give a good amount of feathers, and we're going to need a lot of those because eventually we're going to want to swap over to bows. I wish we could find a pig or something. So sheep, I don't like throwing spears at sheep just because they move so much, and deer the same way. For sheep, I usually just sprint after them and chase them down and kill them until I get a bow, and then I just make headshots. And they give you, like I said, they'll give you animal hides, bones, and all kinds of good stuff. Let's take a little trip here really quick. I might speed this up if it takes a minute and see if we can't find an animal. There we go. So here's a pig right here. So we went ahead and went back over to that bird. We got the bird and we picked up our spear. So when you throw the spear, you have to pick it back up. So you see we're going to just hit him in the head, and it'll kill him instantly. Now if you hit him anywhere besides the head, it will only make him mad and he'll attack you. So now that the pig is down, or the boar, we're going to press E to harvest his body. Alright, so then he gave us animal hide, he gave us a bone, and he gave us fat. And then if we come over here, he gave us 2 pieces of raw meat. Alright, so make a note though, the animal hide weighs a lot. It's easy to gain a lot of weight when you do that. And if you look right here in front of us, here's a good plant. Here's the plant you really, really want to look out for, is the cucumber plant. So we're going to right click on that, we're going to hit harvest, hit I, go to a little bowl here, and if you look at these give back 10 health. So we'll go ahead and eat those and get our health back up. So now we're back at 100 hit points. And that's how you survive, guys. So with that, we should pretty much be having a good, strong start. What we have left to do now is just to build out the rest of our house, which I'll do on the next episode. We'll start crafting this. We'll get the walls up. We'll get doors up, stairs up. We'll go over how the logs work. For instance, so if you have logs in your hands really quick, you can't jump. So you can press space all day long, but you can't jump. So what we'll have to do here is we'll have to build some stairs and stuff so we can get our logs up there to build walls and a roof. And like I said, your first thing you wanted to focus on is just surviving, getting your food stuff together. Don't focus on the house so much. Like I said, you do your tutorial, and once you finish it, it'll go away. Build your campfire, put a shelter over it so that the rain doesn't put it out, because sometimes it might rain for 3 days, sometimes it might not rain for days at a time. Make sure you've got fuel for the fire. Go ahead and get you a spear made up, get you some fish going, get you some food cooked up, and you can cook your raw meat the same way. We'll go over in the next episode, or the one after probably, how to turn stone into iron, and how to use your iron to make ingots, and how to use those ingots to make some better items for cooking, like the trying to think what the drying rack, which is great. We're going to want 3 drying racks before winter. And here's one of the dead birds I was talking about. So when you see these, just press E. and it'll give you some feathers. And you want to get, like I said, you want to get as many feathers as you can. Don't think 50 feathers is enough. You're going to want like 200 feathers initially, so you can make a bunch of arrows. Now, the only reason I'm mentioning that is because you're going to find those laying around as you're gathering and collecting. And then we'll go over the clay nodes here soon and what they're used for initially when we first get started. But this is just a quick lowdown dirty, get you started on day 1 so that you can survive and thrive in the game. And you shouldn't have any issues. Like I said, we're currently on day 2 because we slept. It's 7:04 p.m. You can see our energy's up. We've got food now. We're surviving. We're good to go. It's currently April of spring, so we really need to keep the pace going. We need to pick it up. We need to get our house built. We need to get it fully enclosed and sealed before wintertime gets here, and we'll be ready to go. And I will cover all that as we continue on, guys, and then we'll get on to more advanced things, how to get the higher level recipes, how to unlock things, because if you're looking in here and you see things you want to craft, but it's not letting you, such as the anvil we can go ahead and make. We're going to need one of those eventually. So the anvil will probably be the next thing that we really have to focus on. I'm thinking in episode 2 or 3, we'll get to that because we're going to need to build stone forge. So that'll probably be the next step once the house is up and we have somewhere to put it, because I want to make sure it's protected. So like I said, I'll cover that. That should probably come out tomorrow or the next day. We'll see. I might go ahead and push it out today right behind this one. I'm not sure yet. If you want to go ahead and keep moving and you want to see what the next things are, I do have older tutorial videos out, and they do still kind of apply. There's just with the last update, we got the anvil and the recipes changed, so we have nails and screws and bolts now or whatever, and so you need those to build a lot of these. Let me see. So like right here, we need 10 nails. You'll need the anvil to make the nails to make the workbench, and we need the workbench before we really worry about leaving our camp to go anywhere. So like I said, we'll go over that once we get the house built. So I hope this video helped you guys out. If it did, be sure to, as always, to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for more content if you enjoy this. And if you have any questions, you need help with anything, you can catch me in the Discord. Just send me a message. I'll be more than happy to help you. Or leave a comment on YouTube if you have the question there, and I will get back to you probably within the day. So thanks for watching, guys.